Manchester United hosted Everton at Old Trafford on November 24th. Now, on paper, the fixture read like a routine home match. In reality, it became one of those ugly, stubborn reminders that football is rarely kind to teams who arrive thinking reputations will do the heavy lifting for them. United lost 1-0 to Everton, a result that read worse than the single-goal margin suggested because Everton were reduced to 10 men for more than 75 minutes after Idris's baffling red card for hitting his own teammate, Michael. Now, the defeat exposed tactical rigidity, a worrying lack of fight in key moments, and raised the uncomfortable possibility of slipping back toward last season's failures. The claims and reactions from the manager and pundits after the whistle cut straight to the heart of the problem. Rúben, who marked his first year in charge barely more than a week earlier, could only watch as the game slipped away from his side.
We are not there, not even near the point that we should be to fight for the best positions.
His post-match appraisal was blunt. We are not there, not even near the point that we should be to fight for the best positions. Those words, delivered in a tone that mixed disappointment with a plea for urgency, hinted at more than tactical misgivings. They betrayed a fear of regression. "I feel afraid of returning to this feeling of last season," he admitted, referencing the campaign that ended in 15th place, no trophies, and no European football. That sense of dread, that's not melodrama. It's a manager diagnosing the cultural heart of his team and finding it wanting. Tactically, the game raised fresh questions. Even with the numerical advantage for most of the contest, he refused to abandon his 3-4-2-1 setup, a shape that in this instance looked like a straitjacket. Moments in football often reveal whose ideas are flexible and whose ideas are fixed. United's failure to change shades when Everton set deep and compact felt less like fidelity to a philosophy and more like a stubbornness at the wrong time. Jamie Carragher put it plainly, "I don't understand how you can stick with something so steadfastly in a situation like that. It's one of those moments where I think a lot of people will really question the manager." Now, the criticism's not a personal attack. It's a call for tactical elasticity when circumstances definitely demand it. But the grievance wasn't only about shape, it was also about spirit. Gary Neville's reaction was visceral. It was an embarrassment. Forget injuries, there are no excuses. He picked at the psychological thread. United's demeanor on the pitch smelt of complacency, as if the players expected Old Trafford's magic to bridge tactical shortfalls. That complacency, he warned, will kill you. Watching a team with the superior numbers fail repeatedly to fashion clear openings isn't merely a failure of X's and O's. It's a failure of ruthless intent. Now, maybe the manager's understanding this more intimately than anybody else. The guy almost begged for a different kind of intensity. "I hope my players, when they lose the ball, fight each other," he said. "Fighting's not a bad thing. Fighting means you lose the ball, and I will fight you because we will suffer a goal." It's an odd, almost loving use of the word fight. It's not a call to violence, but to accountability, to players policing each other's lapses rather than accepting them. You know, good old-fashioned pure accountability. Now, there are episodes and matches that linger way longer than the final score. This was the first time Manchester United had ever lost a home Premier League match after seeing the opposition receive a red card. Previously, they had won 36 of 46 games. Now, that slat isn't really trivia, but it does amplify the humiliation here. And for Everton's manager, it was a small personal landmark. His first ever win at Old Trafford as the visiting manager, achieved at his 18th attempt. Now, moments like this twist the knife for supporters and underline how dramatic football stories can quickly flip in the script. So, where did it go so wrong? There were moments of technical deficiency, failing to carve out clear passing lanes, a lack of movement in and around the box, and an inability to convert possession into genuine pressure. And yet, beneath the technical failings, there was a cultural brittleness. Amorim's admission that United were not ready when they walked out to a stadium full of expectation points towards a seasonal problem. Inconsistency of mindset. For a club of United stature, the measure of progress isn't only in points, but in the way the team plays when tested. The image of a United side watching chances dissolve without a collective roar felt to many like the season's earlier gains had just been completely superficial. Naturally, pundits were swift to point out the managerial responsibility. Carragher's assessment that Amorim will be questioned based on that performance isn't solely a critique of team selection for that night. This is a critique of leadership in moments where adaptation is required. The manager sets the tone, tactically and temperamentally, and when the side lacks the on-field leadership to change course, the manager's decisions become intensely magnified. Meanwhile, Neville's condemnation highlights the supporters' impatience. Old Trafford booed collectively at full time, a raw sound that succinctly registered the gulf between expectation and the reality of the moment. And yet, amid all the backlash, Amorim's comments contained a blueprint for response. His insistence that we have a lot to do, we have to be perfect to win games, is an unglamorous but necessary prescription. Seriousness and preparation, relentless detail and training, and an insistence on competitive accountability within the squad. The notion of fighting for each other, framed as a corrective measure rather than a gladiatorial instruction, signals that the manager understands the psychological terrain as well as the tactical one. He knows that technical tweaks alone won't save a season if the collective heartbeat just isn't right and up to par. Now, from the player's perspective, this defeat is going to be a mirror, a fixture where the opposition is numerically weakened and a testing ground for character. United's inability to press home the advantage will now be dissected, not just in match reports, but also in the dressing room. Now that examination has to be candid. Which habits are worth preserving? Which patterns are masking deeper vulnerabilities within the players and the team itself? There's also going to be questions about the squad's depth and whether those who start possess the ruthlessness to finish off stubborn opponents. But these are questions about how a group of professionals responds when the margin for error narrows. For Everton, this was a moral victory built on stubbornness and spirit. For United, it's a gut punch, an uncomfortable reminder that the journey back to becoming a consistent force is neither linear nor guaranteed. History lends sympathy to managers who steady their clubs after rocky starts, but history also remembers those who failed to heed early warnings too. So I guess if there's a single practical takeaway, it's that brilliance in football rests on two pillars: adaptability and intensity. Amorim's side displayed neither enough of. The manager's public prompts demanding fight and acknowledging fear of regression are the right ones. But now comes the harder part: translating that rhetoric into rehearsed habits that show up again and again at kickoff, not only in press conferences when you're trying to explain why your team did such a bad job. United supporters will expect evidence of that translation quickly. Football is seldom patient with explanations when results start piling up, especially when those results are bad. On a night where Old Trafford should have been a theater of dominance, and instead became a stage for introspection. The boos, the punditry, the uncomfortable statistics, they're all symptoms pointing to the same diagnosis. The coming weeks will reveal whether that diagnosis leads to meaningful change, or whether the club drifts back toward the malaise Amorim fears. Either way, November 24th will remain a chastening entry in the season's ledger, one that demands not only tactical recalibration, but a renewed hunger and the kind of internal fighting Amorim said that he wants to see. Competitive, disciplined, and aimed at lifting the team collectively and not tearing it apart. So what do you think? Is Amorim at fault, or does the club need a new approach? Let us know in the comments section down below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.